Hello, I'm Sensei Alex Kakuyo, North American contributor for Buddhist Global. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's Dharma talk is Avoiding the Swamp. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. So my land here on the homestead is a little bit strange. The surrounding properties all slant downwards towards my own. And we have some spots on the land that are even lower than others. As a result, when it rains, we get several impromptu rivers and ponds that run through the property. Now, this isn't a big deal. Thankfully, the house is up high enough that we're not too badly affected. And it is a little bit fun to watch water suddenly appear where there was none before. However, it does make things difficult when it's time to cut the grass. Because the water settles in the property in the low spaces, it takes longer for those areas to dry out. Sometimes I have to wait 2 or even 3 days after the rain before I'm able to mow. As a result, there are times during the summer and the fall where the yard looks a little wonky, where I'm able to mow the areas that are dry, but I have to avoid the areas that are wet. Some of the grass gets cut, some of the grass gets cut a little bit later. It all balances out in the end. But I have to be careful to inspect the lawn, notice which parts are too wet to mow, and avoid those areas. We must take a similar approach as Buddhists to our daily life. The fact of the matter is, sometimes there are parts of our life that are dry and welcoming, other parts that are wet, swampy, and frankly, not welcoming, not healthy to our life or affirming to our well-being. We must be wise enough to know which areas are good for mowing and which ones need to be avoided, either temporarily or altogether. Thankfully, Buddhism gives us many heuristics that we can use to make this decision. We can look at things like the 5 lay precepts, the 4 noble truths, the 6-fold path. We can study the sutras in depth, and in this way, learn the parts of our life that are helpful, that we should lean into, and also learn the parts of our life that are not helpful, the parts that we should shy away from. When we do this, we make life better for ourselves and for others because we know which parts of the lawn to mow and which parts need to wait until later. This is also true of spiritual practice. Sometimes it's just not an appropriate moment for us to chant, and it's better for us to do prostrations. Sometimes our minds are a little too wet and swampy for prostrations, so meditation is in order. By paying attention to our mind and our emotions, we can determine what Buddhist practices are appropriate in each moment, choosing the ones that will best relieve suffering for ourselves and others. By doing this, we can ensure that our lawns, both our real ones and our spiritual ones, are healthy and long-lasting. Amitabha.